sacrifice. Thank you. Clerk will call the roll.
Councilor Anderson?
Here.
Councilor Canal?
Here.
Councilor Condon?
Here.
Councilor D'Angelo?
Here.
Councilor Di Maria? Councilor Matheson?
Here.
Councilor Murphy?
Here.
Councilor O'Malley?
Here.
Councilor Seeker?
Here.
Councilor Spatafora?
Here.
Council President Crowe?
Here. And welcome to our newest counselor, Councilor Kamel. Thank you for being here. No time to let it settle in, just trial by fire. No, the first meeting, most people have a couple of months to kind of figure it out, so. And for those that are attendants under the provisions of the open meeting law, attendees are informed that MATV is broadcasting this meeting live. It's being recorded. I've also been informed that there's at least two, I think, of our community members that have requested that they'll be recording this. Mr. DeLacy, somebody else, I don't see them. So that others are recording this as well, just so you're aware. First order of business.
Paper number 452 of 17, council appointment, treasurer, CFO, collector for the term to expire December 31st, 2017.
So at our last meeting, you'll all remember that this was tabled, we tabled our deliberations on the council appointment for the treasurer to fill the unexpired term of our previous treasurer, Mark Gooden, and the subsequent term to expire December 31st, 2020. So we have two nominees presently. The voting, as we recall, Mr. Kinnon and Mr. Davis. So does anybody want to add anything to the conversation before we call the roll? We have a couple of councilors, a couple of minutes. Councilor Kamel.
Hi. So, thank you, everybody. I'd like to say what an honor it is to be here. I want to thank the people of Ward 6 for entrusting me with this duty. I will work hard every day to uphold that trust, and I will look out for your interests. I will also look forward to working with this council and with the mayor to make significant progress on moving Malton forward. We have great days ahead of us, and I'm very happy to be here at this moment in our history. And I'd also like to thank my colleagues on the council for starting me off on an easy night. So, of course, we all know that this is an incredibly important job. I've taken it very seriously, and I've done my absolute best to make a logical, analytical, unbiased decision in the best interest of the city. I've analyzed as much relevant information as I could get. I've attended all public meetings, save for one that I watched on MATV, and thank you guys for fixing that live feed. That was good. So I could watch that final one. And I even had a chance to review the notes from the executive session. So I've gotten myself onto the as equal of footing as I can with the rest of the council to make this decision. I see two great candidates in front of us, which is no surprise. I know that the search committee worked extremely hard to bring us the very best candidates. And I would expect nothing less than two completely qualified individuals. I focus entirely on the impressive background and experience of both applicants. What I have not taken into consideration at all is any of the negativity that has swirled around the process. There have been attempts to inject rumor and innuendo and gossip into the process in an attempt to sort of downgrade both of the candidates, and I frankly reject all of that. On one hand, there's our former Councilor Kinnon. Well, many of us may have a different opinion with him. I found him to be patient and cooperative with this entire process, and he's done all that's been asked of him. He's shown a humbleness and a self-awareness in all the conversations that I've witnessed, and has endured, in my opinion, quite a bit here. And so I thank him for that patience. On the other hand, we also have Mr. Davis, and I've also heard some attempts there to discredit his experience, pointing out various times different things, which I won't mention. The one thing that I did sort of take up were concerns with his tenure at the MBTA and the state that the MBTA was in, which prompted me to do quite a bit of research. What ended up happening there was, in that research, I found out quite a bit about MBTA financing that I did not know previously. I won't go too much into a dissertation on that, but there's the MBTA has what's called forward financing as of 2000. Prior to this, they would run their operations, and at the end, sort of give a bill to the Commonwealth, which they would they would pay that bill. Since 2000, they've been sort of financially independent on their own. They've gotten a sliver of sales tax, which has been far lower than was originally anticipated, because the projections were made at a time when the sales tax was growing quite quickly, and it slowed down quite a bit starting in 2000. And they were also saddled with about $3.3 billion in debt that the Commonwealth moved off of their books onto the MBTA. And so they've been operating under those conditions since 2000. And that led me to actually become quite impressed with the way that they've run themselves there. Which leads me to my main point. I don't know if I apologize for this, but it's that I intend to cast my vote tonight for Mr. Davis. The decision comes down to a few key points about his experience that I think are incredibly valuable. First, as mentioned, Mr. Davis was able to restructure debt in order to keep the agency running, even in difficult conditions. I expect Mr. Davis has been battle-hardened in numerous financial situations, and it would set my mind at ease to have a steady, experienced hand at the helm here, if and when we were to face challenges in Malden. Secondly, Mr. Davis's experience running a public sector entity that has significant customer-facing responsibilities, and that experience will be a tremendous asset to our city, as thousands of us have to interact with that department on a regular basis to pay our tickets, pay our taxes, and so on. So, thank you for that opportunity to speak. I just wanted to share a little bit of my thinking, and look forward to any discussion at the end of the morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Matheson.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Councilor Kamel, for giving us those words. I especially appreciate that you were able to not only get yourself up to speed, but separate the wheat from the chaff, as it were, and reject the negativity, because this process has had its fair share of gossip and negativity surrounding it. I would like to reiterate that I was highly impressed, as most of us here are, with the quality and caliber of both of the finalists. And I do think that it is appropriate that we make this vote with Ward 6 present. And with that, I also had one other question, because I know through the process it seemed as if most of the body had desired or expressed some wish that we had a CFO as well as a treasurer at the helm. And we can all see the benefit of that, because when someone retires or leaves, as Mr. Good had, the city gets kind of caught by surprise, and it's very hard for us to make replacements without any cross-trained personnel. So I, for one, would like to make a resolve that the mayor fund both positions, CFO and treasurer. And I'm not sure if anyone else has had any conversation in that regard, or if we've received any kind of communication in that regard. But I do believe that both positions are necessary and needed, whether that be sooner or through the next budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Seeing no other lights. So on that we're hiring a treasurer to fill the unexpired term and the subsequent term to expire December 31st, 2020. Clerk will call the roll.
I would just like to, I've had constituents comment that they don't know how we're voting because we don't use the mics. And I was wondering if we could have the mics turned on so that we could vote and the people at home can hear our vote.
I don't know if I can turn them all on at the same time.
I don't think they're programmed that way.
I think I might have just turned them all on. Hang on, one second. No, the last two are on, so I will. A lot of feedback, a lot of feedback. So
Just
I
have
will,
the clerk repeat the vote.
Yeah, just have the.
or I can repeat the vote if that's. Clerk will call the roll.
Anderson,
Davis.
Davis.
Kamel,
Davis.
Condon,
Davis.
Kennan.
Kinnon.
D'Angelo,
Kinnon.
Di Maria,
Davis.
Matheson,
Matheson.
Davis.
Davis.
Murphy,
Kinnon.
O'Malley,
Davis.
Sika,
Kinnon.
Spatafora,
Kinnon.
Crowe, President Crowe.
Davis. 6-5, Mr. Davis is appointed. Subsequent to successful contract negotiations, background check, finance check, all that. Confirmation by the mayor. So there's still a couple of steps to go.